Hi there, this is Melesha Bailey with Love for Life Wellness and the Let Go System. I am so happy that you are joining me today. I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Celestine Copeland of Northwest Financial Mutual and Northwestern Financial Mutual. Celestine, can you say hello to everybody?
Hi, everyone.
She will be talking to us about our financial health. And as women, whatever age you're in, young or older, we need to have good financial health, especially as we are pursuing a lifestyle of health and wellness. And so my goal with my sister to sister Saturdays and the Wellness Wednesday is to bring people and talk about the things that affect us as women as we pursue health and wellness in our mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so that's what I do as part of my coaching is I want to help people, women, to live their best life. And so I created the Let Go system, which stands for Live, Eat, and Transform. And it's a systematic approach to help you to live your best life, eat fantastic foods that will transform you from the inside out. And I've had really great success with that program because I created it from my own health journey. And my first clients helped me to figure it out and to create it. And so we use 9 keys to help you to achieve your wellness. And so we use accountability, we use prayer, we use scripture, we use mindset, food, movement, self-care, lifestyle, and transformation. And so those are the keys to the Let Go system. And I use them with whatever kind of program I'm doing. Right now, I am really sharing about the hair tissue mineral analysis. I have one of my clients, she's a dear friend of mine, but she's been a client of mine for since probably December. And we've been really working on her health. And so she took the hair tissue analysis, and what the hair tissue does, it gives you a big overall picture of how you metabolize your food. If you have any gut issues, if you have low energies, it might identify some of those issues. If you have stress in your body, I know mine said I had some stress, which was really strange for me. And so the hair tissue test is a great way. It's a really great indicator of what's going on now in your body and also a good indicator of what could possibly happen to you in your future. So please reach out to me for that hair analysis. It's great and the price is good right now, but the price will be going up shortly. And so I'm just excited to share that with you. So without further ado, let me introduce my beautiful guest today, Miss Celestine Copeland. She is the owner of a national financial planning practice with Northwest Mutual based here in Springfield, Missouri. She has an extensive medical experience as a registered dietitian nutritionist for the past decade. So that's amazing that she's doing the show because she already has that health and wellness background, which seems that's how it seems always. Whoever I bring on, not really knowing that's their background. So I figure it's the Lord. He must be working it all out. So as a Black woman of immigrant descent and a single mother of a beautiful 7-year-old, her global mindset and passion to make an impact in the community around her resonates with many who meet her. In her career, she saw how finances and the stress that comes along with the lack of it were a major barrier to patients to adhere to recommendations set forth by their medical team. That makes perfect sense to me. Her desire is to improve health outcomes by providing clarity around financials, one's financial present and future by helping mitigate common risks using the industry leading tools used for over 160 years. This allows individuals to move beyond survival to thinking and begin dreaming and achieving their heart's desires, which is my heart's desire. And so I am so blessed and thrilled to have her with me today. So, Miss Copeland, I'm going to give you the floor. Just introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about what you do and why you love what you do.
Oh, well, thank you, Melesha, for this wonderful opportunity to share really my life's mission. And I feel like everything just really came full circle for me at this point in my life because the point of me having even pursued nutrition in the first place was because I wanted to solve a problem. I saw nutrition as a solution to be able to prevent disease. So that was my whole purpose of getting into healthcare in the first place. So, but then getting into it, I realized that, we have these great solutions, but access and these barriers were very discouraging, and I just didn't want to keep on going in the same circle. I love what you mentioned earlier, which is really embodying a holistic approach, and that's really the way that I look at disease and causes of death that are very common when you're looking at heart attack, stroke, cancer. They're possibly preventable. And the root cause of a lot of these common um, and really what's killing us as a nation is rooted in stress. And I know we're going to get a chance to really dive in a little bit. And the stress, the common stress that is causing these things is financial stress. And that's when really the light bulb went off for me because I was like, oh my goodness. So here I am as a dietitian and having all these recommendations, and the answer from my patients is, Celestine, I cannot afford the food that you're trying for me to start eating. Number two, I don't really have the time to sit down and cook after I've worked all day and I'm running around after the kids and all of these different things. It's easier for me to just grab and go. Number three is like it's the access, right? So in order for you to catch something early, you would have to pretty much pay out of pocket unless you had a diagnosis to go along with it that maybe your insurance might be able to cover. So to me, that was like, man, this is really unfair, because then what that leaves the people who are able to come see me, unfortunately, are people who are affluent. Because let's look at society, at least in America. It's not affluent people that are dying of lifestyle diseases, it's poor people that are dying of lifestyle diseases. But how can we prevent that? And to me, it's like what has happened since the fall of 2019, when my life had to make a major pivot, was if I could help people maybe have some clarity around their finances, then that would allow them to be able to do the things they already know how to do, that they already know that they need to do. Not because they don't want to do them, because it's not actually ignorance. I think we live in an information age, and that information is there, but let's talk about the motivation to actually do it. Because if you're bogged down, and I know you mentioned something about that brain fog as well due to the stress, how can you implement anything because you're stressed out, you're depressed? So yes, you know you need to do these things, but if you don't have clarity, you're still in survival mode, you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay your bills or what does the future look like, then it's difficult to handle the things that you need to know you have to handle. So one of the things that I saw in this field was that in these conversations that I'm having with individuals and families, for the most part, guess who's at the table? Especially if it's a husband and wife. Usually in 2021, can you believe it, Melesha, that women are saying, hey, my partner, go ahead and have that conversation. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't need to be at the table. And that is a huge, huge mistake that we're doing as women, because we need to be to have these important and crucial conversations around our finances, so that we have a really good understanding about the why and be part of the planning process for the future. Because at the end of the day, we're living longer. So if we're going to be the ones a lot of times stuck as the caregivers, and there's decisions that are being made, we need to be at the table. So the first things first, we need to be at the table to have these conversations. So first things first, as far as like mitigating risk around, what usually happens when we think about the challenges that women are uniquely faced with, we tend to be outside of the workforce a lot longer than our male counterparts, due to maybe child rearing, or maybe something a lot of times due to child rearing. So we're always behind when it comes to planning, or even having a nest egg for the future. And we know that in 2021, life happens. We may not always have a partner for the duration of our life. That maybe may account for the planning that need, that is counting us in for the future. So we really want to make sure that there's that clarity around that, so that we're not stressed and bogged down, like, so what's going to happen to me when I'm older? Are my kids going to be the one to take care of me? Or, then we have all of that compounding stress around the future. Maybe we're not even in the best of our health, and this is also exacerbating our health condition because there's no clarity. So imagine being able to implement these holistic approaches together with having some clarity around what can I do right now to know that I have a nest egg, I have some sort of retirement. God forbid if something were to happen to me physically during my still leftover working years, that I still have money coming in. That is actually the biggest thing you can do to help protect your income, is paycheck protection, long-term disability insurance. Because without that, if we were ever to come off of work for some reason, which um, the biggest claims are actually illness,
Mm-hmm.
mental health, and injuries. So, and pregnancy complications as well. So, if those are things that are very common that are happening, and that could easily happen to us, and then we lose our ability to bring in an income, I mean, we've really just put ourselves in a really tough spot. And those are things that we can do from the beginning of our career. So just in case something happens, we already know that money's still going to keep coming into the household, and the lifestyle's not going to change very much.
What about for women that have found themselves in middle age and they realize that either their spouses died and left them with nothing, or they realize that they don't have what they need as they're in their 50s or approaching 60, and they're trying to gain that clarity and focus, but they don't know where to begin, and like, is it too late? What happens, or how would you guide somebody like that?
I mean, of course, once you're getting older, there's not really a lot that you can do, but there's still some things that you can do. So for instance, life insurance is quite important. Of course, life insurance covers you in the event that you were to pass away when we're
Mhm.
talking about just a term policy, but you can also look at life insurance also as a way to help you in the event you needed to be in a long-term care facility. So
Mhm.
maybe at that time you may starting to build a nest egg because again you started with nothing, but then also in order to protect whatever that you're starting to grow at that time, making sure that you're starting to have either a long-term care insurance policy, so that you can be able to pay for any type of health event that might occur without it being a burden to your children or your loved ones. Because honestly, it's like best case scenario is if you pass away, worst case scenario is if you live, and guess what, most of the time we're living.
We're living.
So so yeah, we want to make sure that at least we're doing that at that point, because if we only have but a window, and most people may not necessarily have the capacity to really catch up, but
Mhm.
of course try to have some things in place that you can still do, and while still keeping yourself in the best of health, and also limit lightening that burden for your family members that may have to step in if they because they may have to.
What about pre-existing conditions? If you are trying to get some type of life insurance, say you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, can you be denied? I know that on the medical side, we're not supposed to be denied medical insurance for pre-existing conditions. But what about if you're trying to get some type of life insurance at that, if, what happens there?
I mean, everything is on a case by case basis. That's why we want to start having these conversations the sooner the better, because today you are your youngest, healthiest version of yourself. we don't know about tomorrow. So
Mhm.
that's the really the cost of waiting, is because we don't know what your health is going to look like tomorrow. And of course, as you grow older, then of course your risks go up. So that means the cost goes up. So, but either way, it's looked at on a case by case basis. That's the job of the underwriter. So I can't look at you and say, oh, well, you're going to be denied or you're going to be accepted. You have to kind of go through the process, and they'll have to decide whether you're too much of a risk to be able to be covered. And that's why, like, maybe a different type of policy might be maybe more appropriate for you to have, such as a long-term care insurance policy, rather than, just a life insurance policy. But a long-term care is basically a use it or lose it, right? So what if you live until 100 and you're still driving? Hey, you never need it. But chances are most people are at some point going to need long-term care in some capacity, whether it's assisted living, whether it's a nursing home, whether it's in-home health. They're going to need it, and you can be able to use that policy, in a way that is not creating a taxable event.
I was just thinking when you were talking, like you have a 7-year-old daughter. I don't have a daughter, but how would a middle-aged person, how would you talk to your young daughters or your nieces or nephews or your nieces or, you know, about the importance of, and really drill down of the importance of taking care of your health, your physical health, and your financial health, you know, before you get to be 50, 60, 70? How would you frame that type of conversation with younger women?
With younger women is really like, I think we do a really great job to tell them, get an education,
Hmm.
get a career. So I think in the same, a passion that we want our women to be strong, to be independent, to be powerful, we want to make sure that even as they pursue these things and they've invested in themselves, then in the same way, protect that investment, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. Your career could be cut short, as right in the beginning, or it could be cut off, midway through your career or whatever. But either way, you've worked really hard to build this dream of yours. The question is, what are you doing to protect it? So you can protect it financially through, a disability income insurance, which is if you ever were to get sick or hurt, or and not be able to go back to work, whether temporarily, maybe 1 to 2 years, or maybe until all the way till age 65, you have income still coming in. Also physically, whereby you've mitigated that risk financially, but also physically trying to take those steps to holistically make sure. And I, on my end, I have the 8 laws of health just like you. So for me, the nutrition, exercise, water, being getting outside in the sun, temperance, so moderation, right? Fresh air, rest. So sleep is important. And I love that you talked about faith. And for me, it's trusting in God. And what all of those things spell is new start. And those are the things that coming together, and you put them together, just really give you that holistic perspective in life. And for me, the powerful one that really makes it a total wellness package is the financial wellness. So that we make sure that, yes, we're doing this component, but we also have clarity and avoiding that stress that basically almost kind of negates everything else we might be doing on this end, because we'll still be carrying some stress because we're not sure of what the future holds.
That's great. Well, that is so good. And that leads me to my next, what this really, our talk is really about today, is about stress eat. Well, I've been talking about stress eating, and now this week we've been talking about gut health. So with you, having the background in nutrition and health, tell us how stress and gut health, if you're not financially secure, how that all unfolds.
Absolutely. I mean, and this kind of goes back to my personal story as a single mother. And I've been a single mother for close to 6 years now. My daughter is 7, so do the math. And as a woman, it's challenging in the American workplace to really have balance, to really have security, because already there's this bias of working mothers, of are they good enough? Are they competent enough? Are they committed enough to the career? Right. So you have that constant stress of, are you, is your job secure? So you have that anxiety, like, your kid gets sick like right before work, and then you're like, man, you're looking at the clock like, okay, they're going to judge me again for being late, not realizing life happens when you have kids. Stuff happens like at the last minute. Sometimes you get sick and you're missing from work a whole lot. And just that stress as a mother and that insecurity in your career, or maybe having to take breaks in between, is just like, it starts to affect you physically, because you want to have a surety of, you're going to be here, you can still grow, you can still have some mobility in your career, feeling that you have to sacrifice motherhood, that you there's that constant mom guilt that's occurring. So I mean, I don't know, maybe you're probably experiencing constant health issues because of that, at least during those crucial years of mothering. I don't know, but definitely, we may not be able to, avoid all types, but the major thing that we can do, at least we know for sure that we'll have at least, we've maximized our benefits to make sure that we have what our employer may be offering, and then making sure that we're filling in the gaps, because there's the assumption that it's just about securing the job and getting the benefits that the job offers. But what I've come to learn is that there's planning beyond what the job offers. And that's the major gap that is really crucial, because most households need a full paycheck. And if you're a single parent, then even that burden is even greater, because even if it's a two-parent household, a single parent household, most of the time one person's paycheck is kind of daily operations, and then the other paycheck is usually for future planning, like retirement and education funding. So really, most jobs offer about 60%, which after taxes is about less than half of your paycheck. If most Americans are not being able to survive with their whole paycheck, if they go without it for even just a month or a week. So how does that look like if you can't go back to work for years? So you need to make sure that that gap outside of work, we have already addressed that, and through financial planning. That's not something that is talked about, especially if you don't have a point of reference. I know for me, as a person of immigrant descent and as a person of color, these are not that I even encountered as a professional. And I tend to think of myself as intelligent and aware, plugged in, but apparently it was not enough.
Mm-hmm. And when you were and when you were saying that, it's so true. But and our brains talk to our gut, and so if we are under stress, that means our body is in that you know flight or fight um, nervous system mode all the time, which is they're talking and communicating with each other. And so if you are burdened down financially, then it has an effect on your brain, in the back of your brain, and then that goes down to your stomach, and that can cause, ulcers and all kind of health issues if you are not financially healthy. And then if you do have a burden of having some health issues and you get sick and lose your job and then you don't have any income, then that puts a burden on your nervous system, on your stress and on your gut, and it can just wreak havoc on your life. And as a dietitian, if your body doesn't absorb, if you're under constant stress, your body is not absorbing the vitamins and nutrients that you need. So then if you get sick, then what happens? Then you're going to be a burden to your family, or to me it's a cycle that we can mitigate with some planning and some steps first of all, take care of your health, take care of your finances so that you can have some, hopefully, a little bit of security or um, not, well, I'm trying to think of the word security or eat more ease as we age, as we get
Confidence.
older,
Yeah,
confidence as we get older.
right.
That's
Mhm.
the word. Yes.
Yeah, security is such a big deal because without security, security really is peace of mind, right?
Yes.
It's a soft pillow that you sleep on when you go to bed at night, knowing that, I mean, 2020 was a huge curveball for a lot of people, so those emergency funds were exhausted. Um, you know, situations that the worst that you can think of happened in 2020. But when you even prior to 2020, you have certain things in place that, you have that emergency fund, you have those insurances that, God forbid, if you got sick, or God forbid if you passed away, because a lot of people did lose loved ones, right? And if you lose a loved one, that you're losing that source of income that was coming home. And was that policy enough to carry the family for the next 7 to 10 years while they're adjusting? Because sometimes we may have a policy, but that policy may not be customized to your needs and your goals and your wants. Because a lot of time it might be that just small policy at work, which really is putting you in the grave. But what does that do for the family that's left behind, that still has to pay rent or pay the mortgage, still put food on the table, still pay, put gas in the car? Those are just basic essential things. But when you know that, God forbid, if I were to die or get sick, income does not stop into the household, you are literally protecting a lifestyle. It's not
Mhm.
about getting you to be rich or whatever, but really a maintenance, so that when at least you know that that's taken care of, then you're in a position whereby if somebody was to give you these recommendations of eat this, do this for your lifestyle, they're like, okay, I can entertain that because I'm not super worried. Like, yes, we have stress, but those major things are taken care of. So I can listen to the recommendations and say, you know what, maybe because I already have allotted in my budget, then maybe I can spend a little bit and buy that extra supplement, or get a meal kit, right? Or a meal plan, or pay for that trainer because I've already taken care of those huge risks. So
Mhm.
that's where I started to see that connection, because until people feel like they're secure in their present and in their future, rather than feeling like they're just working endlessly, like there's no end in sight, like then it's very difficult for them to do the things they know they need to do, you know and
You're
what
absolutely right.
yeah, and when we help people literally be able to know that the amount of money that they're putting aside today is going to yield X amount in retirement, which is what, I mean, based on what they desire, will determine that for them as a team. That just gives people clarity that there's a stopping point. We're not just going to keep going and going and going.
Mhm.
Because, yes, even like you were saying earlier with our young women, when we want to um, encourage them on why this is crucial, is just ask them, do you want at some point to transition from working to maybe not working because you have to work, but working because you want to work?
Mhm.
It's a stopping point at some point. So in order to do that, you have to plan.
I
Because
think a lot of people don't stop to plan. And even as a health coach, I know that too, because just trying to get people to plan a weekly, their meals for the week, or plan their exercise routine, or plan, grocery shopping, that's a task in itself. And so that's just everyday planning. And then sometimes can't even think about planning for our future because we have problems just planning for everyday life. So I like that. We're protecting a lifestyle. So your health right now is protecting a lifestyle. So if you don't, as you get older, you don't get sick and become dependent on your family or your kids to take care of you. And then your financial health is protecting a lifestyle so that if God forbid something happened, that you can still maintain your current lifestyle to be the same or better. So to me, it just works hand in hand. We got
Right.
to well, we got to take care. So yes, you may need to spend the money on vitamins and supplements and good food and a coach or a trainer. That's important. But also, too, you need to be able to put your money away for the future, long as it does, and still maintain your current lifestyle so that it can be as good as it is or better down the road. And does that make does
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're doing it so that we can live the life we want to live.
yes.
It's all about that intentional lifestyle because what happens right now, Melesha, is that because people are kind of caught up in this rat race where they don't see an end to things, they
Mhm.
lose their ability to dream. They lose their ability to really like what is it that really drives you? What is it that really makes you feel alive? People are doing things because they have to do them, but then life then really becomes, they're so jaded about life. And we want people who are more, who are more alive, more intentional, more passionate, more mission driven rather than survival. So that's crucial for I think there's an innate need for us to find something that makes us feel alive. But we cannot get to that level if we're still struggling, if we're still in survival mode, and we have no clarity around, what does tomorrow hold?
Absolutely. So this is what our talk is today is what does tomorrow hold? What does today hold? What does tomorrow look like for your health and wellness? Will you be burdened down with diabetes or high blood pressure or are struggling with your weight? That doesn't mean you have to be skinny. I'm not skinny by no means, but I am healthy. And that's the goal, is to be healthy. Or are you going to be struggling financially? And so this is what we're talking about, because if you have these struggles, then you're going to have that stress, and then you're going to have, it's going to cause other conditions of brain fog, gut health balance, and it's a vicious cycle. And so my goal as a health and wellness coach is to give you some of the tools that are going to help you. And so if you are needing, financial help, especially as women, please reach out to Celestine. She's so amazing. She can do her work anywhere. Please reach out to her. And then if you are concerned about your health and you're struggling trying to control your A1C, and you are or stressed, or you have chronic pain, then call me, because I would love to be able to get you in a position where you can protect your lifestyle so that as you get older, we're living older. We're going to live to we're probably 70 or 80. But how do you want to live? Do you want to live a life in health and wellness, or do you want to live a life crippled in a wheelchair in a nursing home? I know that's one reason why I turned my health around. I didn't want to live that way. And so now, we can get our finances in order, because we don't want to be in a wheelchair. We don't want to be sick, but we don't want to have to be financially dependent on somebody else to take care of us. And sometimes as women, we give up our rights, our freedom, and put it on somebody else. And so Celestine can give you the tools to help you to have that security, plan your future. And I think it works hand in hand. So I'm just so grateful that she was joined us today on for my broadcast today. So
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I mean, it's amazing, like you said, we were brought together to talk about this.
yes, and with your background and being a nutrition dietitian, and how you even evolved into this, I'm sure you're really helping many people, because you can talk to them about their health and how that affects their way of making money and securing their future. And so it's really about our future. How do you want to live in your future? Do you want to live in sickness and disease? Or do you want to live in health and wellness? Or do you want to live in poverty and lack? Or do you want to live with security and promise? So I think this is what we need as women right now in 2021.
Absolutely, because the thing is, all of these preventive things that you are able to offer, Melesha, without planning, because a lot of your services are out of pocket. So if someone wanted to be able to seek you out, they have to have that ability, that capacity to be able to do that. So that, among other types of wellness practices, in order for people to be able to take advantage of that, they have to have the capacity. And it takes planning to be able to have the capacity to do a lot of this preventive medicine um, tools to take advantage of them.
Yes, it does. Well, I appreciate you being on. Celestine is in the Sister to Sister. She's part of our sisters. You will see her postings. And anybody that gets on Sister to Sister, please feel free to post. The only thing is, I don't ask that you post religious stuff just because we have all types of people in there. But if you want to post something about health and wellness, or something that you are doing that you want to share, an event, or if you need answers to questions, please post. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for being a part of the Love for Life sister page, Celestine. And we look forward. I've seen your postings and they're great. And I appreciate that. And I just appreciate you and what you're doing to help us to be better people. So we're going to sign off now. But if you want to, if you're not a part of my private group, please join the Love for Life group, and it's for women only. But that's the group where you can get a lot of hands-on coaching and tips from me. I do have my business page, and I do a lot of stuff in there, but the Love for Life, that group is, you're my sisters, and I pour into you, my sisters. So if you're not a part of that, join that page, please. And reach out to Celestine if you've got some financial needs and concerns. So I thank everybody for listening today and be a part of this broadcast. And we will see you next time. Signing off, Melesha, Love for Life Wellness in the Let Go System. Thank you, Celestine.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
God, take care. God bless everybody.